the Father's has me right now really engaging the part of my assignment that has to do with the soul, understanding more about being a living soul and uh, the understanding how frequency interacts with that and understanding that the shin within and it's the formation of the shin gadol within. And I even hesitate to talk about it because I'm still on that journey, but it's an exciting place. He's taking me back into some really ancient understandings. This is how he works with me. He first shows me something, and then he takes me backwards and uh, shows me how, like, the traditional writings that are associated, it's either scriptures that are associated with or ancient understandings that that unpack that or that are associated with that. So he kind of works in reverse with me. He'll show me a revelation that is like totally off my grid, and then he'll take me back and show me, yeah, see, this is the counterfeit of it. This part is, I would say, my connection's unstable. So just raise your hand, Kim, if I go out. But so that's kind of this journey that I'm on, is kind of unpacking the ancient wisdom. What is counterfeit? What is authentic? Based on what the revelation that he's been showing me. So I'm currently in that space with him regarding the soul.
Yeah.
And then I'm also on this journey of creation through understanding the sum of his thoughts and his order and the binary code of creation, the one and the zero being the Lord. I asked him one day, what is beautiful to you? And he said, the sum of my thoughts.
Mm.
He meant the original intent, the original binary code. And I said, well, how do we create with you in a way that um, partners with you? And he said, you honor the one, which is the Aleph, and you honor the zero, which is potential.
Uh-huh.
And every, in Hebrew understanding, uh, I I heard Dr. O talk about every circle is a womb of potential. So we honor his binary code, which is engaging the sum of his thoughts of something and the order in which those ones and zeros are outworked. So it's literal, yet it's also spiritual. So I'm in the process of an engaging deeper revelation of that. But just also, even this morning, he woke me up just trying to understand and wrap my head around the impact of frequency on my soul. Um, Woke me up in the middle of the morning with this really, the fear of the Lord, just this really intense vision that I had, where I was taken up really high and then dropped down, and it so fast into this dark water. And this spirit was behind it, and it was a spirit of, what did he call it? Um, oh man, it was a spirit that celebrates when people suffer. And
Mm.
it had to do with the sounds of the frequencies of some of the videos on YouTube that I've been engaging, um, that carry that spirit, that wrong spirit, and that frequency that can take us so easily. Maybe other people can watch this stuff more than I can. Maybe I'm just extra sensitive because of my assignment with frequency, but we all know how many things are being revealed at this time, and both in the church and in the world. And there is a spirit that we can easily partner with that rejoices in the fall of
Mhm.
people and that celebrates the fall. And so I was engaging that scripture this morning. I think it's Proverbs 24:17, which is, do not rejoice in the suffering of others. When people stumble and fall, don't rejoice in that. So I just felt the fear of the Lord on that. And I found how easy is it for us to, instead of just kind of going in innocently, getting information, maybe something is unfolding and the Lord is showing us, um, a reality of someone struggling or something being exposed, and how easy it is to begin to partner with that, mocking that kind of rejoicing at the suffering spirit, and kind of winners and losers. It's like that duality mentality of an us and them. So
Mhm.
just been how sensitive my waters, how pure that I have to stay with the frequencies of what I'm listening to and what I'm engaging.
That's
So
so
yeah,
good. Lord, when you were quoting that verse, rejoice, that word stuck out to me. And I know for, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I've always just had a mental picture when I've read that verse and that word rejoice, like in a celebratory uh posture. Yay, 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 rah, rah, rah. I'm so glad, right? But suddenly when you quoted that this morning, that word rejoice stuck out. And suddenly I saw it from a place of not just the celebration, although yes, that's included, but also from the place of engagement, meaning partaking of, like allowing the creative I am that we are to actually empower or imbue power, if you will, into something, into destruction or deficit, whatever, any kind of thing like that. That would also be included in the piece of rejoice, because it's a gleaning of and empowering of something, which is interesting because I'd never seen the word rejoice in that capacity. So it really speaks to even the power
reason
of
on me,
I am that we are, right?
lending our partnering our energy with that, and understanding as we're beginning to understand our identity more.
Mhm.
We absolutely cannot think of ourselves as sons who are sitting in I am with all this position and authority, and execute it for good, for the will and the purposes of Yahweh, but then kind of downplay and minimize that same power when 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 we're using it for the wrong purposes, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
it's just a video. I'm not, no, I'm letting that sound set up inside of me, in my water. And so maybe I feel like I'm in a real fine tuning because I'm on this journey of understanding the cerebral spinal fluid and how the soul floats and sits in the cerebral spinal fluid. And it's so much for me. He basically, I was in a chiropractor's office, and he said to me, he said, "Do you see that skeleton?" Because they have a model of a spine and a skeleton. He said, "Do you see that?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "What do you see?" But from the angle, the side, and it was the serpent. and he said,
Mm.
how many, count the vertebrae. How many vertebrae are there? So I counted the vertebrae, and there were 33 vertebrae. And all of a sudden, I remembered, he said, remember when I told you the song Shalom had to be 33, 33. And
Mm.
things began to unlock. He said to me, he said, look at the individual vertebrae. And so I looked at one, and he said, what do you see? And I said, oh my God, that's a throne. That's a seat. And he began to show me how our spine is 33 seats, that, and it's connected to the Christ, the fullness of Christ, the measure of Christ being formed in us. And that, I find it really interesting that as a child, we have 33, but then as we mature, some of them fuse and we have 26, which is the number of, I think, the same gematria for Yod He Vav He.